Good morning, Tuesday the 7th of May 2019. This is Jamie, the Hedge teacher. Welcome to my roundup for today. Let's have a look at the markets and see what they have been doing in the last 24 hours. We have gold coming in at the moment at 1281.80, and that's just slightly in the green of 20 cents. That had a low of 20.80.10 and a high of 12.84.20. And in fact, that has just gone up this very second, asking a 1281.60. So that's gone up just over 2 points in the last since we've been on air. So that's coming in there. Silver has just dropped a little bit by 4 cents, and that's at $14.97. That had a low of $14.64 and a high of $15. And platinum is coming in at $879, and that's up 4 points or $4. That had a low of $8.55 and a high of $8.82. So there's a little bit of movement in the markets already this morning. Obviously, the London European markets, have been open now. It's 10:45 here in the morning, so they've been open for a good few hours now. And after the fun that happened in the US yesterday with some of the stock prices, we'll have a look at those in a moment as well. Onto cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin, in fact, all of them are pretty much in the green, which is good to see. They had a good rise in the last 24 hours. Bitcoin is coming in at $5,933.67, so that's almost up 4.5%. Ethereum at 177, and in some of the newscasts we have that it's hoping to go over the $180 mark, hopefully by the end of the day, and that is up almost 10%. So that's had a great rise. Ripple up 2.4%, and that's at 30 cents, just over 3.3050. And all the rest are in the greens. As we look down there, most of them 3, 4, 5%. Cosmos up 7%. That's at 491. Tezos up 10% from there. Moving on to the major stock prices, the update we have on those at the moment, we have the Dow 30 at $26,438.48, and that's down $66, just over. And there's some big changes yesterday in the market, and what caused that. There's a little bit of news about that, whether it's to do with Trump and China, whether it's to do with some of the court cases that are going on, to do with the US dollar. We'll have a look at those in a few minutes as well. So the S&P 500, that's at 2,932.47. That's down $13, and the Nasdaq is 8,123.29, and that's down $40. News around the place on CoinGap. One Bitcoin Cash accounted for more than 50% of the transactions last month. The crypto market testing the Bitcoin, BTC testing 6K, and Ethereum, to break over, what is breaking over the $175 mark. Ripple partners RIA money transfer to facilitate international payments. Fidelity to roll Bitcoin trading services for institutions within a few weeks. Bitcoin recovers double value than oil, S&P 500 bonds, and other asset classes. So yeah, some interesting news, and we'll see how volatile those markets are the next 24 hours. Onto the crypto potato. The only new headline today is 6 months Bitcoin price had reached 6,000 again, and how can BTC climb from here? They're still coming together over there at the moment. CCN news, Ethereum price jumps 9%. As CFTC hints at futures contract approval. Wall Street bond king on Democrats, on the 2020 hopefuls, short them all. Moving on to Bitcoin exchange guide. The news that we have, dash predictions, other predictions for the day. Blockchain technology can be used to fight fraud. I've talked about that in previous blogs and that before. And while Ripple report forecast puts XRP at $590 by the end of the year. Guess I'm free to be very happy with that outcome. Other news around the place, we have the former CEO of France Telecom and 6 executives have gone on trial over a spate of staff suicides between 2008 and 2009, facing charges of moral harassment over the suicides of 35 employees. They were linked to tough restructuring measures. The Swiss court has ruled that former Uber driver was an employee, not an independent contractor, and was wrongfully terminated without proper notice. IKEA opened a city centre concept store in the heart of Paris, a lot smaller than the traditional stores, and offering a lot of other different things like cooking classes and furniture repair shops and hosting art exhibits. Boeing failed to reveal an issue with the 737 MAX's alert system for 13 months, and the tunnel yesterday celebrated its 25th anniversary. Idea of the day, learning how to read a room is an important skill to master. You have to pay close attention to those around you. Sounds simple, but studying, connecting with others is an underrated skill. On the True News, not a lot changed on there at the moment. They seem to be a few days behind any other broadcasters where they catch up in the long run. But what I would like to mention about it, I've just posted onto my social media sites, is that an article that I saw yesterday about JP Morgan and about the Wall Street mega bank assembling data and pointing out investors would have done well by largely ignoring their advice for the past 2 decades, or at least hedging against it by investing in the yellow metal. And I'm a great proponent of gold and silver as a security, as a backup. And they put out this data, puts gold at second in the line of the 20-year annualized returns for asset class. That was from 1999 to 2018. REITs were at 9.9%, gold at second at 7.7%, oil at 7%, S&P 500, if you're investing in that, at 5.6%. Worked its way down to bonds, 4.5%, homes, which is residential homes, at 3.4%. Inflation they had here at 2.2%, and then obviously the average investor, you and me, or the people in the street, at 1.9%. So any of the investments I was saying, through JP Morgan, if you had backed up your investments and your savings with gold and silver, you would have done a lot better, which is really interesting. But as we talk about, I'm a big proponent of gold and silver. It really is the way to have some sort of security behind you in these challenging and uncertain financial times. And we're not talking about a great deal, but even just buying a little bit from time to time. If you have some money aside, we talk about maybe 10% of your net worth to help safeguard you as an insurance, as financial insurance against this fiat currency that we have at the moment. And we know through history and past events that something will happen. There are some court cases that have been happening over the last 3 or 4 weeks, which is finally coming to light by people that that could have collapsed well and truly over the last 12 months. The US dollar would have gone, and then all world currencies would have followed suit. So gold and silver history has proved that it really is the one and only currency that will sustain us through these times. Anyway, hope you're having a good day. I'd like to have a big call out to Mike and Zoe in Tokyo. Hope you guys are well over there. It must be coming up to 6 o'clock in the evening over there, so have a good evening. It's a lovely, beautiful day here in Mallorca. I hope you're well, and I look forward to catching up with you again tomorrow. Thanks for now.